going on YouTube? What is going on, fellow fantasy people? And of course, what is going on, the Catch fam? You already know what time it is, man. We are rolling right into another mock draft. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and smash the like button down below, as it truly does help out the channel overall and gives us that little boost and the algorithm. And of course, man, if you guys are not already subscribed, go ahead and hit the sub button. I don't know what you guys are waiting for. You need a little bit of the Catch in your life, day in and day out. We're going to be pumping out as much fantasy content, as much NFL updates, as much NFL debate as we can throughout the whole season. So go ahead and subscribe, man. You know you already want to. Like 90% of our viewers, are not subscribed to the channel. Go ahead and hit the sub button. It truly helps us out, truly keeps us going. So let's get right into this one. We are rolling with an 8-man mock draft from the 5th overall selection in a PPR league. Let me know in the comments down below what type of mock draft you guys are needing to see. It seems like we're getting a lot of good feedback in 8-man leagues overall. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys need to see for your personal league. I'm happy to conduct anything 8-man, 20-man league. You guys let me know. Go and check out some of our other mock drafts. We have plenty of content already uploaded for the month of August, but nonetheless, just appreciate that feedback. And really just as we see Christian McCaffrey and now Lamar Jackson taken off the board 2nd overall. So hopefully we don't see a lot of people bounce out of this mock draft with that. I don't want to say a dud pick, because hey, if you're confident enough to go and get Lamar Jackson 2nd overall, then more power to you, right? But nonetheless, we are probably going to get a little bit of a steal. Let's go ahead and snag up my guy Derrick Henry, RB2 on the season last year. Alvin Kamara would have been a great selection there. Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill. A lot of good selections if you have the 5th overall pick, whether you're in an 8-man league or a 20-man league, right? You're going to have a very valuable selection. But you guys know I'm super high on Derrick Henry, but don't be sleeping on Alvin Kamara if he's available if you had the 5th overall selection, because that's your RB1 on the season last year. I know a lot of those points came on that Christmas game where he went absolutely insane, but nonetheless, going to be a very valuable pick wherever you go to get Kamara, right? So as we see Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, and Saquon Barkley all off of the board, Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill are sitting here, as well as Stephon Diggs, making me want to go out and draft a wide receiver. But a lot of very valuable running backs still available, and Travis Kelce is sitting here too. In 8-man leagues, I'm kind of wary of going out and getting a tight end, because there's a lot more depth available in later rounds, but it's really hard not to go out and draft a guy like Travis Kelce. But let's go ahead and snag up Austin Eckler. I mean, you guys have seen me do a lot of these 8-man drafts. It's really hard for me not to go RB heavy, because you can just stack so many good running backs on top of one another. It really makes it difficult. But as we saw, a lot of good wide receivers available, some good tight ends available. Any quarterback we want, and really any tight end we wanted would have been available there as well. But you guys know I have a hard time not going RB heavy, man, unless someone wants to see a specific strategy or I'm trying out a different strategy myself. But nonetheless, I'm going to be happy if Derrick Henry and Austin Eckler are on my fantasy squad. I was kind of hoping that Najee Harris would kind of maybe slide to us with the 21st overall selection, but he got selected, and there goes Patty Mahomes. So think about the 4 selections after we went and got Austin Eckler, right? Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Najee Harris, and Patrick Mahomes. 3 Kansas City Chiefs off the board, and a lot of very good overall talent. So now we see Stephon Diggs off the board with this 21st overall selection. There's a couple guys I would like to target here. I mean, Justin Jefferson sitting here, DK Metcalf, DeAndre Hopkins, and as well as Calvin Ridley, right? Antonio Gibson is sitting here at the running back position. Darren Waller is available. So once again, we have a lot of good talent to select from. There goes DK Metcalf. I like that pick, man. 18th overall. I like seeing DK go early, so I don't feel like I'm going crazy being the only guy who's so high on DK Metcalf this coming year. But nonetheless, Calvin Ridley is sitting here. We only have one more selection until we pick. And there he goes. Yeah, I didn't think he was going to last whatsoever, but really hard for me to pass up on Antonio Gibson, so we're going to go out and get him. I like the start to this team, man. Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, and Antonio Gibson. I think that is a very loaded start to this team. It's just hard for me not to go RB heavy in an 8-man league. You guys, I mean, there's a lot of good. I mean, I've done some 8-man leagues where I kind of divert a little bit away from this, and you're gonna end up with a very good roster no matter what you do in an 8-man league. But the challenge comes from who are you going to start week in and week out? Who are you going to go pick up on the waiver wire? Because no matter what you do, there's going to be talent when your draft is over. There's going to be talent on the waiver wire every week, as well as there's going to be talent on your bench. It's a lot of tough decisions that come with an 8-man league. I know sometimes 8-man leagues get some crap because the draft seems so much easier, but there's a unique challenge to an 8-man league overall. So let's see here. We've got a lot of good players we could go out and get here, man. AJ Brown's here, Darren Waller sitting here, James Robinson and David Montgomery are both sitting here. We have 3 running backs that we're very confident in, but what we are lacking is a true wide receiver 1. So let's snag AJ Brown, and then we're going to target either David Montgomery or James Robinson and hope that either or one or two of those guys are available, that both of them don't get selected by the time we pick with that 37th overall selection. So I'm definitely targeting either of those guys, man. James Robinson, I just don't think by the time, in the next week or so, or whenever you guys are going out and doing your personal fantasy drafts, in my, personal league, we're waiting to, till September 7th, September 8th, the night before NFL kickoff, right? Because you really want as much information, as many injuries to occur or not occur, as many trades to occur or not occur as possible before you go out and do your fantasy draft. But nonetheless, the point is, I don't think that James Robinson is going to be ranked where he is ranked right now. But I might be wrong because David Montgomery hasn't really moved up in the rankings, and I view David Montgomery and James Robinson very, very similar. When you look at their stats from last year, they're very, very similar. But don't sleep on these 2 running backs, man. They are both going to have very good years. I would rather have David Montgomery or James Robinson over J.K. Dobbins or over a Chris Carson, who are both sitting here available. I would rather have them over DeAndre Swift. Josh Jacobs still sitting there. Miles Sanders, I'm a little bit higher on those guys, especially Josh Jacobs. You guys know that I have a lot of love for Josh Jacobs, man. So nonetheless, a lot of good running backs here. We might want to start thinking about the QB and tight end position to try and go out and get some really good value for this roster. But nonetheless, we'll see who's selected here and where we make our selection. As we see, David Montgomery, the top ranked player on the board. So let's say David Montgomery and James Robinson got selected here. I'm confident enough in the 3 running backs available that I would not add J.K. Dobbins to this roster. I'm not a big fan of drafting J.K. Dobbins. It looks like we have a good shot of getting James Robinson here, but if James Robinson wasn't here, as we did see David Montgomery available, I would probably go out and add the top talent to this roster, and that of George Kittle, or I would go out and I would pick up a quarterback, potentially a Kyler Murray here, or we would just kind of look at the receiver position here and we see some receivers that we like a Robert Woods or Mike Evans, Tyler Lockett, and I'd probably go out and get one of those guys. But nonetheless, James Robinson is available. Let's add him to this roster, making our running backs overall very, very strong. And now we can divert a little bit and go back to the quarterback or tight end position. But nonetheless, I think we're going to end up with a roster that makes us very happy overall. So let's just keep on evaluating things and keep on keeping on, man. The mock drafts make you it's funny, they make you a little nervous, not as nervous as a real draft, but still sometimes when I'm doing these, I'm sitting here like, man, I hope this guy slides to me. So Tyler Lockett off the board, as well as George Kittle, and we saw the selection of Mike Evans as well. So a lot of good talent going here. We see Darrell Henderson still sitting here, and now I'm going to go and put this back up. Josh Jacobs off the board, man, another guy. I'm telling you, I don't see him being drafted where he's ranked, man. I think a lot of people are high enough on him and have enough conviction in that selection that you're going to see him going in that 30 to 45 range, which, to be fair, is where some places have him ranked. But I don't know, man. I think a lot of people want Josh Jacobs as their RB3 or their flex. Some people are confident to go and get him as their RB2, especially in deeper leagues. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and evaluate where we're at. I do think that the best value to add to this roster is a receiver. So we've got a couple options, but I think that we're going to go ahead and snag my guy Cooper Kupp. If we didn't have AJ Brown on this team, then I would probably go ahead and go with Julio Jones there. But I like DJ Moore at the receiver position here. I don't want to hate on Amari Cooper, who just got selected. Adam Thielen was sitting there too. So a lot of good players at the receiver position, but I'm happy with AJ Brown and Cooper Kupp leading this roster. So, nonetheless, I do want to start targeting a quarterback with this coming move. So, Kyler Murray's my top rated guy right here, but if he goes, then we would probably go out and get that of Dak Prescott. Don't forget, we can't pick Lamar Jackson because he got selected second overall in this mock draft. So some of you guys might be saying, well, this is a waste of a mock draft, but crazy things happen in fantasy football leagues, and I like running mock drafts where something unexpected happened because you guys truly don't know what's going to happen in your league until drafting day comes, and who knows, maybe someone in your league will want to go out and get Lamar Jackson second overall. Very unlikely, but it could happen, man. But nonetheless, we've seen a lot of good players off the board: DJ Moore, TJ Hawkinson, Brendan Ayuk, Miles Sanders, and now Kyler Murray just fell out of our grasp. What a sad day. So I'm actually going to go ahead and pick up Adam Thielen here and add some depth to the receiver position, and then we're going to divert back to the quarterback position. Dak Prescott is our top target here, and I think that we can certainly add him to our team, but it's going to be a little bit of a punch to the gut if he does get selected here. I think there's a little bit of a drop off at the quarterback position after Dak Prescott is taken off the board. But kind of the advantage, if he is selected here, is that we can step away from the quarterback position for at least another round or so and still go out and get a guy like a Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers or Justin Herbert, Ryan Tannehill, right? Who still presents very good value overall. And we can, instead of picking a quarterback, go out and get a skill position player. Man, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell, and have regrets. Kind of hard to tell what's going to happen, have regrets on certain things, right? But I am kind of regretting taking AJ Brown because Julio Jones is still available. And I think at this point, Julio Jones is the best available player as he is still not being selected. Man, I don't know. I think that Julio, Steven and I talked about this in our wide receiver rankings video. If Julio is sliding, man, he's such a good value in comparison to where you have to take AJ Brown. I mean, think about all those players available when we selected AJ Brown, who even fell a little bit to us, right? Think about the skill position players we could have and still be able to go out and get Julio Jones later on, who's available, man. I almost want to take him just because I think he's such a good value. But let's go ahead and get our guy in Dak Prescott and add a quarterback to this roster. I'm not personally in any way worried about Dak Prescott and the injury he's dealing with in this offseason. I think the Cowboys are being smart in resting him and are being smart overall in the way that they have him on kind of like a pitch count within practices and things. So I don't know about you guys. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys are having any hesitations around Dak Prescott because of the injury he's dealing with or not. I am curious to get that feedback. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and target another receiver, as I think we're going to have some good running backs fall out a little bit later in this draft, like a Javonte Williams or Raheem Mostert and a Ronald Jones. And then some of those later round guys who I don't think we're necessarily going to need to add. Let's go ahead and scoot my face over and see how many more players we can add. So we still need to go out and get 4 guys and a tight end. We are probably going to be looking to select 2 tight ends in this mock draft. And let's go and scoot me over again. And let's see. So my turn is coming up quickly, as we've seen a couple kickers, couple defenses, some quarterbacks. I was about to say, is Julio Jones still available? Because if he is, that's just absolutely insane. So he is available. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Let's pick up Deontay Johnson here. I was showing Dak Prescott's face, so I got a little confused. Let's add Deontay Johnson to this roster. Jerry Jeudy's still sitting here. You guys know I'm absolutely crazy about Jerry Jeudy, but I don't think he's going to be necessary for this roster as we already have 4 wide receivers. And you guys know that I go a little bit thinner overall at the wide receiver position. Julio Jones taken 71st overall in this mock draft. That's just absurd, man. Don't let Julio slide that far in your personal draft. Like I said, I would have taken him if I didn't already have AJ Brown on this roster, right? But I considered taking out both of them. So nonetheless, let's go ahead and check who's available at the tight end position. I'm pretty confident that we still don't need to add a tight end to this roster. Let's go ahead and add a running back that we're confident in. And I'm going to add Javonte Williams. I was about to add, Ronald Jones, but I think we can hold off just a second here for that of Ronald Jones. We still need to add 2 players to this roster, and I think we kind of have our pick here, right? I mean, Jerry Jeudy or Raheem Mostert are kind of the 2 guys that I want to target overall here. But I'd be actually happy with either player, right? And I just don't know if we're going to need Jerry Jeudy on this roster, which really pains me. But outside of that, I would like to add a Ronald Jones, and then I think we're probably going to end up with 2 tight ends on this on this roster. So, but I think we can wait, man. If we can go out and get Robert Tanya and Mike Gesicki, then we're a lock. And if we don't get both of those guys, we could probably still get like a Noah Fant or maybe a Dallas Goedert. So, Robbie Anderson off the board, man. Take in mind the strength of schedule for those Carolina Panther receivers. They have a very, very easy overall strength of schedule. And Robbie Anderson right now is looking like such a fantasy steal. I think he is easily a strong wide receiver too, but without a doubt, an incredible flex position, incredible bench player. Robbie Anderson is someone who needs to be part of your draft strategy just based off of the Carolina Panthers' strength of schedule overall. So, nonetheless, Raheem Mostert sitting here. Let's add him to this roster. And I don't care, man. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to draft Ronald Jones if he's available here. And then we'll go out and we'll get whatever tight end we want, man. We could have 2 tight ends on this team. And don't get me wrong. Let's go ahead and double check. We've got 4 or 5. Oh, we have 6 running backs, so never mind. We cannot take Ronald Jones, but we can note, if he is available with this 92nd overall selection that we could have gotten him, and we can note that we could have had him over that of Raheem Mostert. But nonetheless, I'm feeling very confident with the running backs on this team, with the quarterback on this team. I guess you could argue that maybe we should go out and get a second quarterback just to add depth with Dak coming off of an injury, and as well as him dealing with an injury, right? But I'm pretty confident with my selection of Dak Prescott, and I think that adding 2 tight ends would be the more valuable thing to do here. So Robert Tonyan's our next queued player, but he's not the top tight end on the board, right? Not not at all, right? I mean, Tyler Higbee sitting here. It's interesting, right? Some draft platforms have Tyler Higbee ranked a lot lower. So, and I've gotten hate in the comments before for going out and selecting Robert Tonyan in front of Tyler Higbee, but I have more conviction in Robert Tonyan at the moment as we see Tom Brady off the board. Let's look at the quarterbacks. There's a lot of good quarterbacks sitting here, man. And that is definitely something that we could consider. Like I said, with Dak dealing with some injuries, I just want to scoop me over and see where Dak's bye week was. And man, I think I somehow convinced myself into thinking I need another quarterback. So let's take a swing on Jalen Hurts, someone who I haven't taken in too many of these mock drafts overall, but nonetheless, I think it adds some good depth to this roster. And I think this was a good example of showing how late you can wait at the tight end position. I consider taking Travis Kelce very early in this draft. And if Robert Tonyan slides to us here, which I think we have a very good chance of happening, he scored the same amount of touchdowns as Travis Kelce. Not nearly as many receptions, not nearly as many receiving yards. So I'm not trying to make a complete comparison between the two. And I do think it's going to be difficult for Robert Tonyan to come out and repeat what he did last year. But nonetheless, you guys see the comparison I'm making in terms of value, where you have to draft Travis Kelce and where you can draft Robert Tonyan, especially in an 8-man league. And we're probably going to have an opportunity to pass on forfeit a kicker and go out and get a second tight end if we want. And I mean, Mike Gesicki, man, look at the stats from last year. And we might see Robert Tonyan actually selected before we pick here. But if he's not, look at the stats that we have from Mike Gesicki last year: 6 touchdowns and over 700 receiving yards. I mean, you can wait at the tight end position in an 8-man league. I feel pretty confident saying it, but don't feel too confident as we see Robert Tonyan and Dallas Goedert off the board. So maybe I just jinxed myself going off on this tangent here, but nonetheless, Noah Fant's available here, man. Mike Gesicki is available here, but we're going to go out, and you guys know that I've been huge on Mike Gesicki all freaking offseason, all preseason. That's my guy. And let's go ahead and see he's available at the defensive position. A lot of good defenses, right? And we know that one of them is going to fall to us as well as a kicker. If we wanted to, we could forfeit a defense or a kicker here, go out and get a guy like Noah Fant, or even just look at the top skill position players. Antonio Brown sitting here. He might not last until we draft. Mike Williams sitting down there. Corey Davis is sitting down there. Man, there are some good freaking players available. I think there are good enough players available that we should forfeit a kicker. If this is my personal league, I would absolutely forfeit a kicker. But for the sake of mock drafting, let's just take a note. Antonio Brown is here. Michael Carter's here. Kenyon Drake, Will Fuller, DJ Chark, Mike Williams. I mean, a lot of good players. But for the sake of mock drafting, let's go out and let's just make a full roster, right? Let's pick Kansas City's defense, who is only projected 109 points this year and only put up 109 defensive points this year or last year. I like the Colts more. I like New England to have a bounce back year defensively more than I like Kansas City. I think the Chargers are a sneaky value here. New Orleans, I'm not as high on as some other people are. Chicago, I think, is a little bit of a sneaky value if you have an absolute fluke at the defensive position. But do not sleep on my Miami Dolphins, man. There are probably people out there confused thinking I am a Miami fan because I'm so high on going out and selecting Tua as a really late, sneaky potential sleeper value. I'm pretty high on some of the receivers in that offense. Very high in Mike Gesicki, but there is no reason to not be high on this Miami Dolphins defense from a fantasy perspective, even with us seeing the departure of some players out of there and some things moved around. They put up 143 points last year defensively, and they're going to have another great year defensively. And then Indianapolis Colts, their defense just got selected. Another team that is going to have a great year defensively and should not be slept on. Those would be my 2 prime targets from the defensive position. If you wait to pick a defense in later rounds, like most of us do, right? I'm telling you, Miami and Indianapolis. I know I picked Kansas City. I was just picking a team to pick them, right? But those should be your 2 top targets in my opinion. And speaking of me liking the Miami Dolphins, let's pick up Jason Sanders, who had a great year as a kicker. And let's crack down this roster, baby. So we got 2 quarterbacks from the NFC East. We got that of Dak Prescott as well as Jalen Hurts. We're feeling pretty confident at the quarterback position. We have some good depth there as well. At the receiver position, we went out. We got A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp, and then at our kind of bench spots here, we've got Adam Thielen and Deontay Johnson. So feeling very confident in the receiver room overall. At the running back position, we're loaded, man. We've got Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Antonio Gibson, James Robinson, and then these great flex players in Javonte Williams and Raheem Mostert. We have 3 guys who we know are going to start and provide a ton of fantasy value. And then we have 2 situations that we can monitor and take advantage of on the bench. At the tight end position, we've got my guy, Mike Gesicki, waited very long to take a tight end overall, but still ended up with a very valuable player. And then we have Jason Sanders and the Kansas City Chiefs defense. So what a good roster. That was a blast as as always, man, I have such a good time doing these mock drafts for you guys. Let me know in the comments down below what type of mock drafts you guys need to see for your personal fantasy league. Like I said, we get a lot of good feedback on these 8-man mock drafts, so I'm happy to keep kind of pumping these out and pumping out a good range of different mock drafts. Let me know in the comments down below when you guys are drafting too. I'm super curious to know. I want to know what I can do before you guys draft. I want to know what my co-host Steven can do before you guys draft, so we can get you guys more prepared. As always, if you guys did find this helpful in any way, if you guys did enjoy this video, go ahead and smash that like button. Go ahead and at least consider subscribing to the channel. What am I talking about, man? Go ahead and hit the sub button. You guys know you need a little bit of the catch in your life day in and day out, man. As always, I thank everyone for watching and or listening, and remember, you saw it here on The Catch.